Hello, this is Joe Pearson, the project planner for this application. This is a request for the appeal of the Community Development Director's decision to approve Planning and Zoning Permit 19-216, a development design review permit for the 4 apartments at River Park project. The project consists of a request for a development design review permit to authorize the construction of a 409,257 square foot, 5-story apartment building with 333 units and a approximately 171,000 square foot, 6-story centrally located parking structure with 510 residential parking spaces, a rooftop deck, all located on a 4.23 acre project site. The project will include associated landscape and hardscape improvements, and the 330-unit residential project will also encompass 44 studio apartments, 166 one-bedroom units, 116 two-bedroom units, and 9 three-bedroom units. The project has also been conditioned to provide 50 affordable units. The project is located within the 702-acre River Park Specific Plan area at 2700 and 2750 North Ventura Road. The general plan designation is regional commercial and the zoning is River Park Specific Plan. Under the River Park Specific Plan, the property is designated residential very high / commercial regional. The project area is surrounded by development, including residential and commercial, with only the west side being undeveloped with the Santa Clara River. A little bit of background. The River Park Specific Plan was adopted by the City Council in 2002, together with the General Plan Amendment, Zone Change, Annexation, Development Agreement, and EIR certification related to the River Park Specific Plan approval. The original River Park Specific Plan allowed for the phased development of 2,805 dwelling units and approximately 2,485,000 square feet of commercial development. The original River Park Specific Plan was developed following the design principles of the New Urbanism and Smart Growth movements, which emphasized the importance of mixed land uses in close proximity, communities scaled for pedestrian walkability, limiting the need for automobile usage, higher density development, and placed an importance on physical design. Since the adoption of the original Specific Plan, there have been 7 previous amendments to the River Park Specific Plan. The most recent amendment was approved on April 5th, 2022. This amendment allowed for changes to the land use plan and text within the River Park Specific Plan to allow for residential development in districts B, C, and D in exchange for a reduction of commercial square footage. As a result, the current adopted specific plan would allow for up to 4,068 dwelling units, or approximately 2,098,000 square feet of commercial development, depending on the development options chosen. Continuing with the background, specific to the properties in question for the project today, on November 18th, zoning permit 0867D03 between the owners of the project site and the city of Oxnard. The development agreement has been amended twice since it was originally adopted, with the most recent being approved on April 5th, 2022, in conjunction with the recent specific plan amendment. Looking at the 4 apartments over Park project, the proposed apartment building is designed as a single 5-story wraparound building with a 6-story centrally located parking structure. The building will face Ventura Road with 2 vehicular access points along Ventura Road. The ground floor open space will be located at the rear of the building adjacent to the 101 freeway. A rooftop deck will also be provided for the use of residents. The site will be surrounded by an access road and the entry to each of the units will face an interior hallway. The upper floors, including floors 2 through 5, will generally be the same with regards to layout and will contain residential units wrapped around the parking structure. Moving to the building design, the building is contemporary in style with projecting and recessed elements. Exterior materials are a mixture of stucco, wood, metal, and concrete siding panels with glass and metal railings. Contrasting colors as well as differing parapet heights are used to further reduce the scale of the building elements. The building holds to the street edge, screening parking from the street, and is consistent with the proposed urban feel of the River Park specific plan neighborhood. Colors include a more neutral palette consisting primarily of shades of gray and white with wood and red accents. Looking at the east and the west elevations, it can be seen that the design has been carried around the building as well as to the parking structure or the higher elements of the parking structure located in the center of the building. On May 23rd, 2022, the Community Development Director held a public hearing to consider Planning and Zoning Permit 19216, which requested approval of a development design review permit for the 4 apartments at River Park project. At that hearing, staff recommended approval of the project, and at the public hearing, the director heard public testimony, deliberated, and approved the project pursuant to all the findings required to grant the permit provided in the Community Development Director resolution. Therefore, the director adopted a resolution to approve the project. Subsequent to the approval of the project by the director, pursuant to the Oxnard City Code, the action of the director is final unless an appeal application is filed within 10 days after the action date. On May 31st, 2022, the appellant filed a timely appeal application with the city. The appellant, Richard Drury of Vazoo Jury LLP, on behalf of the Supporters Alliance for Environmental Responsibility, or SAFER, has appealed the decision of the director primarily because the appellant does not agree with the California Environmental Quality Act process used on the project. The appellant's one ground of appeal has been noted here verbatim, and in the subsequent slides, staff will provide responses to this ground of appeal. For the record, the ground of appeal is that SAFER objects to the city staff's reliance on the final environmental impact report, FEIR number 00-03, for the River Park specific plan and subsequent addenda to the River Park specific plan EIR, pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA, guideline section 15-162 for the project. The city's proposed CEQA review is inadequate because the project was not analyzed in the River Park specific plan EIR and addenda, and the project-specific impacts generated by the project must be analyzed and mitigated in a project-level EIR. The appellant's assertion that the city's proposed CEQA review is inadequate because the project was not analyzed in the River Park specific plan EIR and a subsequent addenda is incorrect. The appellant has also failed to identify, pursuant to the state CEQA guidelines, why the River Park specific plan EIR and subsequent addenda is not sufficient and a new project level EIR should have been prepared. The River Park specific plan EIR and subsequent addenda were prepared as a project level EIR, and the 4 apartments at River Park project is consistent with the River Park specific plan, and therefore no further environmental review is required. And I will go into more detail on this in the subsequent slides. Starting with the prior environmental review, as stated in the original River Park specific plan draft EIR, the River Park specific plan EIR was intended to serve as a project EIR, as defined in section 15-161 of the CEQA guidelines for the use by the city of Oxnard. Specifically, the original River Park specific plan EIR analyzed the adoption and build out of the River Park specific plan. As originally adopted in 2002, the River Park specific plan allowed for the phased development of 2,805 dwelling units and approximately 2,485,000 square feet of commercial development. The original EIR found 4 areas of significant impacts, which were earth resources and mineral resources, water quality, agricultural resources, and cultural resources and historic resources. There have been 15 addendums to the River Park EIR since it was originally adopted. The most recent was approved on April 5th, 2022, in association with the previously discussed specific plan amendment. Again, as previously mentioned, the River Park specific plan EIR is a project level EIR, meaning that the EIR analyzed the changes in the environment that would result from the development of the project, which was the build out of the River Park specific plan. The River Park Specific Plan EIR and all subsequent addendums examine all phases of the project, which was the build out of the specific plan, including planning, construction, and operations. An environmental consultant under the supervision of the planning division staff prepared addendum number 15 to the approved final EIR number 00-03 and subsequent addenda to evaluate potential environmental impacts of the build-out of the amended River Park Pacific Plan. The addendum evaluated each of the residential option development scenarios pursuant to the City of Oxnard secret thresholds and the California recommended thresholds. These scenarios specifically included the development of up to 333 units in District B of the River Park Specific Plan. Also, pursuant to CEQA guidelines, a notice of determination was filed with the Ventura County Clerk and posted on April 7, 2022, following the April 5, 2022 approval of the River Park Specific Plan Amendment by the City Council. Pursuant to CEQA guidelines, section 15094F, the posting of the NOD began a 30-day statute of limitations on court challenges to the approval under CEQA. This period ended on May 9, 2022, and no challenges to the approval of addendum number 15 to the approved final EIR were received. The project is a residential use, and the director found that the proposed project was consistent with both the River Park Specific Plan and the 2030 General Plan Land Use Designation. In accordance with Chapter 7 of the River Park Specific Plan, the proposed project may be permitted with a development design review permit subject to approval by the Community Development Director. Again, the project is located within District B of the River Park Specific Plan. The River Park Specific Plan designates the site as Planning District B, West Periphery, Commercial District, with a land use designation or land use of residential very high and commercial regional. This designation anticipates the development of the subject residential use as outlined on page 2.12 of the River Park Specific Plan. The director determined that the project met the requirements of the River Park Specific Plan in terms of its location within Planning District B and will be subject to the residential and commercial square footage limitations within Chapter 2 and 7 of the River Park Specific Plan, which identify the development scenarios, which I will touch on later in this presentation. Also, River Park Specific Plan Section 2.5.2.2 establishes that the maximum residential very high development within Planning District B shall be 333 dwelling units, and no further commercial shall be allowed in the district. As the project consists of the build-out of the site with a 333 unit apartment building, the project complies with the building area requirements of the River Park Specific Plan. As documented in the Community Development Director staff report and attached resolution, the project complies with all of the development requirements for this building type, as well as other applicable development standards of the River Park Specific Plan. Lastly, the original mitigation measures will remain applicable to this development as it is under the specific plan. Therefore, the director determined that on the basis of substantial evidence in light of the whole record that the project was consistent with the River Park specific plan and none of the triggers included in the state CEQA guidelines required the preparation of a subsequent EIR, and conversely, sufficient evidence was provided to justify reliance on the River Park specific plan final EIR and subsequent addenda relevant to the provisions of the state CEQA guidelines as implemented by the city of Oxnard. Looking at the project's consistency with the general plan, River Park is located within the North Oxnard Transit Enhancement District, or noted urban village as defined in the 2030 general plan. Urban villages are mixed-use areas designed to encourage persons to live near their place of employment and/or support services. The integration of complementary land uses is intended to promote a pedestrian orientation to reduce trips and vehicle miles traveled and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. The 4 apartments at River Park project will further many of the characters of urban villages, including being an infill development, providing for a mix of residential densities by being a higher density development in the River Park specific plan area, by providing a minimum of 15% affordable housing, as well as being located near the 101 corridor, as well as the Oxnard corridor. The project will also encourage the use of transportation and pedestrian and bicycle circulation in the area by being in close proximity to a mix of land uses. In addition to the urban village policies, as further discussed in the staff report, the project furthers many of the policies of the 2030 general plan. Shown here are the residential development scenarios that would allow for the development of up to 1,025 additional residential units in the River Park Pacific Plan in exchange for a reduction of up to approximately 562,457 square feet of non-residential development potential in accordance with the specified development scenarios as identified in this table. These scenarios would be either or choices, and as shown in the highlighted rows, the development of the 330 units in District B was specifically identified in the specific plan, as well as the corresponding reduction in the maximum square footage of retail or hotel, convention, and office uses. The project complies with the River Park specific plan requirements for parking. And while the project is in conformance with the parking requirements as required under the River Park specific plan, the project was required to prepare a parking management plan to designate residential parking and provide for the allocation of the residential spaces to residents. A draft of this parking management plan was included as an attachment to the Community Development Director staff report. The purpose of the parking management plan is to include strategies to ensure residents use on-site resident parking and not use other projects, visitor parking, or on-street spaces for this project and adjacent uses. The proposed project, as previously discussed, is consistent with the development anticipated under the River Park specific plan, and the project necessitates neither changes nor additions to the final EIR number 00-03, including the subsequent addendums. Therefore, no additional environmental review is required pursuant to Public Resources Code Section 21166 and Sections 15162 through 15164 and 15183 of the state CEQA guidelines. Consistent with the public noticing requirements, the Planning Commission hearing was advertised with on-site postings and a newspaper notice, as well as a mail notice to property owners within 300 feet of the property. Based on the information provided in the staff report, staff recommends that the Planning Commission find the project to be consistent with the final environmental impact report and subsequent addendums prepared for the River Park Specific Plan, and therefore exempt from further environmental review pursuant to sections 15162 through 15164 and 15183 of the CEQA guidelines, and adopt a resolution denying the appeal and upholding the Community Development Director's approval of Planning and Zoning Permit 19216 for a Development Design Review Permit, subject to certain findings and conditions, because the record shows that there is evidence necessary to make all the required findings required under the Oxnard City Code.